Good morning, everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about a fairly important topic, especially at the moment, and that is the difference between judgment and discernment. And I think we sometimes get a little bit confused about the difference between the two and when it's important to recognize when we're either sitting in a place of judgment or a place of discernment. So, firstly, I guess it's important to understand the difference. Judgment is usually from a sense of ego, and it's usually from a sense of needing to be right, making others people wrong. It's a very polarizing thing to do. So whenever you judge yourself or other people, you firstly step out of the universal law of oneness and acceptance, which is we are all one, and we are part of a community and a civilization that is intimately connected, whether we like it or not. And every time we step into judgment, we step out of that place of being able to accept who we are and how other people are. But what it also does, it creates this massive level of separation. It creates separation within yourself, but it creates separation between you and your people, whether it's your family, your friends, your community. Every time you step into judgment, you try to make that other person wrong. You try and make a community, an opinion, a thought wrong. And ultimately, it's not about that. This is about you discerning and recognizing and coming back to your truth. So, discernment is different in that it's really about finding your own truth and clarity, but it's also about finding what's best for you, not what's going to make someone else wrong, and not what's going to make you right, and not what's going to help prove your point. This is only about you finding the best choice for you and also your close people. So, your children, your family, your loved ones. And sometimes that won't always line up. Sometimes what's your truth and what you're discerning for yourself can be different from your loved ones, and that's okay. But it's super important to recognize that your truth is your truth only. It's not necessarily your next door neighbor's truth. It's not necessarily the community's truth. It doesn't mean that you have to apologize for your own truth, but it is very important to discern the difference between what's right for you, what's good for you, and not make anybody else wrong because they might have a different point of view. And there's a lot of polarizing stuff happening at the moment, and it is very sad to see. But recognizing that judgment makes it worse, it doesn't make it better. Making somebody else wrong for their choice creates the polarization, it creates the separation that we're experiencing at the moment, and that is not healthy for anybody. The difference mainly as well is the projection between what's external and what's internal. Judgment is always about kind of having that competition with somebody else or something else or a concept that's outside of ourselves. Discernment is about going within. It's about recognizing our own truth. It's about recognizing when we're triggered by something, when something isn't working for us, when we need to look at ourselves first. We get clarity and understanding within ourselves, and that becomes our truth. Not what we've read, not what we've seen, not what we've heard, not what anybody else has told us, but what we know in ourselves to be our truth. If you need to research, if you need to think, if you need to spend time, if you need to go away for a while, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and just really sit with your own truth. Does it feel right to you? Does it feel argumentative? Does it feel like your truth? Does it feel like you know this? Do you sit comfortably in your own opinion? Or do you feel agitated by your opinion? Do you feel afraid? Do you feel combative with your opinion? And if you do, why? Because as soon as you have those fear-based emotions come up, you're starting to move into judgment. You may not be sitting in your own truth. And when we have those fear-based emotions, we're much more likely to lash out at other people as well, because we don't really know for ourselves. We don't know our own truth really, and that's okay as well. But judging ourselves or other people for that creates polarization. It creates separation. It creates a whole bunch of arguments that aren't necessary. Everybody has a right to their own truth. Everybody has the ability and the choice to go within, to find their own choice, to find their own clarity and their own understanding. And the more we can do that, we're much more likely to stay in a place of peace. We're much less likely to argue. We're much less likely to create this polarization. Everybody can sit in their own truths with clarity and respect for themselves and for other people. Judgment versus discernment, there's a huge difference. And I hope for everybody that watches this or who's listening, that they can see for themselves the clarity and understanding and discernment within themselves. And do that from a place of love, not fear. Have a wonderful day. It's really nice to see you. Sending lots of love.